If you're a B2B company and an average customer is worth more than $15,000 to you, and your total addressable market is over 20,000 people, you should definitely do cold email in 2026. And in fact, if you're not doing it, you're simply missing on the channel with the lowest CAC possible for your business. In this video, I'm going to go over what's actually working today in 2026 for someone who's sending a lot of cold emails and booking lots of calls for my clients, and how you can actually turn cold traffic into booked appointments, into closed sales, just using cold email, and how you should build that entire funnel, and what's actually working and what's not working, and where you should put your focus in 2026. So let's get right into it. In terms of credentials, my name is Neta and I run a cold lead gen agency specifically for cloud resellers. So here is a screenshot of the pipeline we're generating. From 500,000 emails, we've received 908 leads, and from that, here's some screenshots for my clients' calendars. So as you can see, we have 8 booked calls in one day for one client. This is just from cold email. And here's a screenshot of another client that targets enterprise customers, which we literally got a booked call from a decision maker in Microsoft, one of the biggest companies in the world. This is just from cold email. You can send an email and get an executive in Microsoft to want to book a call with you if you know how to do it correctly. So let's get into what's actually working today and how you can get those type of leads and leads suited for your specific business using cold email in 2026. So to simplify things, there are 3 steps you should follow that are absolutely crucial to make cold email work in 2026. The first step is the offer. You need something that people can say yes to even if they don't know you, something that doesn't require trust to say yes, and it's low risk and high reward for them. The second step is having the right list of people. I'm going to go over how I personally source my lists and make sure I'm only reaching out to qualified prospects. And the third step is what kind of copy you should send and how many emails you really need to send to get results with cold email. So the first step is the offer, which is the single biggest lever. If you get this wrong, nothing is going to work no matter what. Even if you have the perfect list, even if you have the perfect copy, you have crazy AI stuff, this is not going to work if you don't have an offer that's tailored to cold traffic. So how you actually make offers that work on cold traffic, and this is my formula. Basically, you need to sell an easy yes for someone who doesn't know you. So you need to take a part of your service and make a low friction entry point. So let's say you are a marketing agency, make some sort of proof of concept, like a trial that is paid and is a one-time payment thing, or a free trial, or a free deliverable. These are the 3 things that get people to say yes, and from there you can convert them to actual customers, but they need to receive actual value before they pay you. I found the easiest way to make a good cold traffic offer is, instead of selling your retainer offer, just make a pilot that is a one-time payment for a very specific deliverable, and once they get a taste, and it's way easier to approve a one-time payment instead of thinking how it ties to their cash flow and how they are losing X amount of dollars by working with you per month. A one-time expense is way easier to approve, and that way you can close them, get them to get a taste of your service or product, and then upsell them to your actual full price that you sell to warm leads and people who got referred to you. An important disclaimer is that PDF guides and just free guides and stuff like that, this stuff doesn't work. It's not going to get people to buy from you, and it's very redundant in 2026. You need to give actual service as an offer. So to make a really, really good offer, there are only 2 things that are going to work from my experience. And one, it's a very defined outcome for a very defined ICP. So when I say very defined ICP, B2B SaaS is not a very defined ICP, but Series A healthcare software in the US between 10 to 50 employees is a very defined ICP. So if you have a very defined outcome where you can mention specifically in that ICP's lingo and their sort of language and what they care about, and you really have deep vertical knowledge, in that case, cold email will work for you, and that is a good enough offer where you can just say, we helped this very specific client achieve this specific result. In that case, it will still work without you offering free stuff. but you still should do a one-time payment thing because it's going to massively increase your close rate, but it's not absolutely necessary in that specific case if you have a very defined outcome for a very defined ICP. So for my example, I only work with cloud resellers, and my definition of a very defined offer in my case is 5 qualified show-ups in 60 days with buyers spending over X on cloud. So when I say that, instead of generic B2B SaaS leads, they can internalize and understand immediately what kind of ROI they're going to get, because they understand truly the type of leads I'm going to get them. But if you just say we'll get you B2B leads, no one is going to buy that because it's the most generic offer there is and there is nothing special about it, and they have a lot of objections. How do I know if the leads are good? How do I know what kind of leads you're going to get me? And all of that stuff. But when you have a very defined sort of message, it's going to convert way better, and it's going to cut through the noise of generic cold email. The second thing you could do if your ICP is broader and you don't have a very specific segment you can mention is something of immense value that you can offer for free or at cost. So if your service is marketing agencies and you do full funnel builds and you do the creative and you manage the media buying and the entire service, offer a part of that service, like the initial funnel build out, for a one-time payment or for free or for at cost price. And that sort of offer, if you show it has helped other people before, is going to convert on cold email. So these are the only two options: either a very attractive offer that is at cost or for free, or at a one-time payment, or the other option is a very defined outcome with a very defined ICP where you can get away without offering crazy stuff. So my formula for getting the best type of specific message you can use is just take your 5 best customers, segment them by industry, and for each name the specific result for that specific industry. Let's say you got leads for 5 type of companies, and it's healthcare and biotech companies and legal tech companies. Just define the type of leads that you help these guys get in that lead generation example, and just be as specific as you can and run tests or to see which segment converts best for your case. So run a cold email campaign for legal tech, for healthcare, and for biotech, and see which type of customers convert the best, and then you can just scale that type of message and run it forever. After you mine your best segments, you can go to a data source like AI Arc or Apollo, scrape a list of leads from there, and then use AI to filter out the non-ICP companies, which is a very important step. The best way to do that is use Claude Code, use a Sonnet agent, and tell him filter out by the company description. So if you're going to get leads from AI Arc or Apollo, you're going to have a company description per lead that they exported, and you can filter out the leads that are not ICP by having a Claude Sonnet agent manually review each one of these and say this is a fit, this is not a fit, and in that way you're going to reach out only to your ICP and your reply rates are going to be much higher. And you can be way more specific in your messaging because you know you're only targeting that type of customer. Another very important thing in your targeting is that you should always go for decision makers. When you have a defined ICP and a defined outcome and a low friction POC, your campaigns are going to print. But let's say you send to a software engineer, he usually doesn't have any budget power and he can't really make decisions on his own. So ideally, if you're targeting up to 50 employees, I would suggest always targeting the CEO. A CEO is usually the best responding segment and the one who actually has the purchase power for almost all companies up to 50 employees. And 50 and above, it really depends on what you're selling, but always reach out to the highest seniority decision maker where your offer is still relevant. This is a great way to make sure you're only targeting people who actually care about your offer. Because think about it like this, an employee is driven out of the fear that what if this thing doesn't go right, and what if it makes me look like a fool, that I made the company spend money on something that didn't translate into anything. But a CEO is more driven by making bets on the company that will make the company bigger or grow better or be more optimized, etc., etc. And he's more inclined to take risks, which means he's more likely to respond to your cold emails compared to, let's say, a chief security officer who his entire thesis is not answering cold emails because they look like spam. So you really need to think about who you are targeting and what kind of personas you're reaching out to, and making sure that what you're actually offering aligns with them answering to your cold email. So the second thing that is really important is the list itself. As I mentioned before, what you should do is go to AI Arc or Apollo, get a broad list of leads, and filter it with AI. And an important rule to know when you're making your lead lists, you should target the smallest companies that are still in your ICP range, because these guys usually answer the most cold emails. So the smaller the company, the more likely they are to respond to your cold email, and the more likely you are to hit the actual decision maker regarding your offer, and the faster your sales cycle is going to be. So obviously, if you're selling enterprise software, you need to target enterprise customers. But if you are targeting SMBs or even mid-market, try to go to the lower range of the company size. And a lot of times, what matters more is the geo of the company and not the actual size. And from my experience, I can tell you that a lot of time, a 10-employee CEO in the US will pay more, close faster, and more likely to respond to your cold email than a 500-employee CEO in countries I won't mention, but you can think of them yourself, that are less economically viable than the US. And as I said, 10 to 150 and even 50 to 100 employees, try to always reach the CEO because he's going to respond the most. Obviously, other C-levels will answer, but it really depends on your offer. But almost universally, if it ties to saving money or making money, the CEO is going to respond the best up to 100 employees. Okay, so after you have your list of leads and you know who you're going to target and you know what your offer is going to be, what you need to understand is how many emails you should send and what kind of copy you actually are going to send in your cold emails. So in terms of sending infrastructure, when you send cold emails, the minimum amount of prospects you should reach is 3,000 to 5,000, which is why I said your TAM should be a minimum of 20,000 people or more. You can also target your entire TAM if you have 3,000 people in your TAM, which is also going to work, but the bigger the TAM, the more emails you can send, the more appointments you can actually book. So let's say your TAM is 5,000 prospects. So for that amount of leads, you should have 30 Google inboxes, 15 that are going to send 20 emails per day, which is going to cover your entire month, and another 15 in the background in case your infrastructure burns, which happens every X amount of time. And once your email response rates starts to go down, replace them with the 15 inboxes that are running in the background, and in that way you'll always have backup and you're always going to send and always going to book appointments. You're going to basically spend a couple $100 per month to reach out to 5,000 people per month, and get from 5,000 people you can get 5 to 20 appointments per month. Really depends on your message and what you're doing, but these are usually the numbers you can expect. And think in terms of revenue, if you get 5 calls per month and you close one, and your LTV is a minimum of $5,000 or $15,000, you spent $350 to make $15,000. So it's a really good ROI. And now let's get into the copy, which is what you're actually going to send. A golden rule is always keep it stupid simple. The simpler the copy is, the more likely your prospects are going to convert. I sent hundreds of thousands of emails, and I never saw a complicated email get more responses than a simple email. Just state your offer in plain words while still being specific, and make sure the emails are curiosity based. Try to make them intrigued. Don't reveal all of the information. The entire goal of the email is to get a hand raiser and make someone show interest, and then you can go over more information in the next email, but ideally you want to book them immediately once they show attention, if they are actually qualified. Another thing is, don't try to provoke pain in your emails. It usually doesn't work because it makes people think like you're insulting them. I see a lot of people saying, try to invoke pain, pain-provoking questions, stuff like that. I never seen it work. Maybe I've done it wrong, but I tested it a bunch of times, and from what I'm seeing, it's not really converting to any appointments. And usually what it makes people is just angry that you're insulting them. So don't try to say, are you struggling with lead generation at the moment? No one is going to admit to that. Instead, just try to tailor to people who are looking to scale, not people who are experiencing problems at the moment. And a good benchmark is to have 30 to 50% of positive replies turn into booked calls. So if your campaign is good, you're going to have 30 to 50% of human replies be positive replies. Let's say you got 20 total replies, which include out of office and stuff like that. And let's say half of them are human replies, so it's 10 actual replies. Out of those 10, you're going to have, let's say, 5 people that are interested if your offer is really good and your targeting is really good and your message is really good. And from those 5, you should have at least 2 to 3 appointments booked. And another cool trick that I'm using. If you're sending lots of emails, if you're sending a low volume, this is not really relevant, but if you're sending high volumes, a great way to filter only good leads is by mentioning that your specific thing is for that specific condition. So let's say you want to target companies that are spending $3,000 or more on their cloud bill, or let's say the ARR is 1 million or above. Mention in the email this specific thing is for companies spending over $3,000 in cloud. You can either ask them what their current criteria is. Are you currently over 1 million ARR? I'm asking because XYZ. Are you currently above $3,000 per month on your cloud spend? Or say this thing is for that specific filter. So say for companies that are above 1 million ARR, we are offering blah, 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 blah. So this is a great way to filter only qualified leads in your actual copy and not in the list itself. Another very important thing is when you actually get a positive reply, it is very important that you reply in under 10 minutes, because the more time you wait, the less likely the prospect is going to respond back. And if you catch him immediately once he answers, he is the most likely to convert into an actual appointment. So that's regarding turning positive replies into appointments. And when you actually get to the call, don't offer your full thing. If you offered some sort of a trial in the cold email, I see a big mistake that people lure the people to the call, they manage to get them on the call, but when they are actually on the call, they try to sell them services that the people are not actually looking for. Instead, what you need to do is provide exactly what the person looked for in the email, get him the POC, give him the free trial, give him the whatever, and after he experiences your services and he has a good impression, then offer your full thing and actually convert them to a full paying customer. So yeah, so never pitch like a cold retainer or a 1-year deal to a prospect who doesn't know you. You just cold email them, they don't know you, they don't trust you, and they're not going to pay you a ton of money unless they heard of your brand before or you have a really good offer. But if you're a regular person with a regular offer the POC, let them experience your product, and then upsell them to the 1-year deal. So that's the entire system that's needed to make money from cold email in 2026. If you're a B2B company, just have a really good offer, a really good list, and send high volumes. If you want to learn more, go to my website in the link below. And if you want new breakdowns every week where I'm sharing what's actually working in cold outbound, feel free to subscribe to this YouTube channel, because I'm going to post more on how to actually make money from cold outbound in 2026. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you soon.